Okay, gents, let's now focus on the relegation candidates. Which teams are set to battle to stay in the Premier League? Nick, I'm going to come to you. Nottingham Forest, they're back in the Premier League for the first time since 1999. We're all really looking forward to this. They made so many new signings, 13 new signings, the likes of Dean Henderson coming in on loan in goal. It's a really good signing, I think. Jesse Lingard coming in as a free agent. There's been a lot made of that. Can they be the surprise package? Because they've also got like basically a brand new team under Steve Cooper. But they caused some upsets last year in the FA Cup. They were really good against Arsenal and Leicester, knocking them out. Lost in the quarterfinals to Liverpool. And just as soon as Cooper came in last season, they went from being relegation candidates in the Championship to going all the way up the table and nearly sealing automatic promotion. So this seems like a team that if they started well, maybe like Brentford last season, they could surprise a few people.
Yeah, the answer is yes. That doesn't mean that they won't be in a relegation fight, of course, but if your answer is the conditional, is this a team that can be the surprise package? Yes, I do like it. My big question for them, I think they brought in some really good players, including Nico Williams is a little bit under the radar. Omar Richards could also be under the radar. But Bryce Samba was very, very good for them. They had Ethan Horvath behind him. They made some big timely saves. Is Dean Henderson the real deal? We've seen him shine at Sheffield United, but I'll be watching him closely because he's going to step into some big shoes.
Another newly promoted team, Andy, Bournemouth. They're back in the Premier League after a couple of years away. Scott Parker, he's there. He's done a good job. He's now brought Fulham and Bournemouth up from the Championship in his first 3 seasons as a coach. He's up against it, though, again, I think. Dominic Solanke, if he can score goals, obviously great to see David Brooks back after his illness and a full recovery. Those are the 2 key attackers you'd look at, thinking maybe they can keep Bournemouth up, but it's going to be a tall order for the Cherries, isn't it?
Tall order. 63 career Premier League appearances for Dominic Solanke, 4 career Premier League goals. He's got 86 appearances in the Championship over the last couple of seasons for Bournemouth, where he scored 44 goals. I think you've got a Championship striker that you're pinning your hopes on staying in the Premier League on. And so I don't know how else to put it. It's going to be a long season for Bournemouth. I really do believe so.
It's good to see him back, though. Kind of a fairy tale story. I know they have a wealthy owner, but it's still fighting against the odds. Smallest stadium in the Premier League by a considerable margin, just over 11,000 fans down there on the South Coast. And, you know, they could upset a few teams. Scott Parker, good young manager. I think he'll end up going to a decent-sized Premier League team in the future. He's shown enough for me, organisation-wise, that he deserves a bigger gig in the future. But I think the resources that he has there, the signings they made this summer, kind of suggest that they're going to be kind of a Norwich. They know where they lie in terms of just too good for the Championship, not quite good enough for the Premier League. But let's see what happens. Fulham, that's a yo-yo team that has ever won in recent years. 2 relegations, 3 promotions in their last 5 seasons. Marco Silva's done a really good job. They won the Championship at a canter last year. Mitrovic banging in goals for fun, setting that new record for goals in a single season in England's second tier. But Silva has been having a pop at the ownership and saying, look, we only have 2 first-team centre-backs. What's going on? We need new players in and we need it fast. And Silva, bit of an abrasive character during his time at Watford and Everton in the past. Nick, what do we expect from Fulham here? We love Fulham America, by the way. Really looking forward to going to Craven Cottage down by the banks of the River Thames. Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson cheering them on. But again, for a newly promoted team, this seems like another tall order, and Fulham just understanding that they're going to have to spend big again, and maybe they were burned by doing that in the past. Was it the summer of 2018 when they spent loads of money and it did not work out at all?
Yeah, and that year they also bought players who turned out to be good in other places, including Zambo Anguissa, who's I think a very, very nice player. Big question for me with Fulham is I think they're going to be able to whip in service to Mitrovic. I think he can score a bunch of goals. He'll be better. He didn't have that at Newcastle, and the question is, can he stay out of the books? Can he not get sent off 2 or 3 times? But Fulham, toss it in the air. I mean, it's a coin flip to me whether or not that they're able to stick around. And that's a weird feeling because I kind of liked them at the outset when they made that spending in 2018.
Yeah, and you know what? The last time we were in the Premier League as well, they were decent in spells. And you felt like maybe this time they are a bit more experienced, some of those group of players. And they've got some good young attacking players there. But yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for them to stay in the Premier League. Andy, a team that just stayed in the Premier League on the final day last season, Leeds United, Jesse Marsh somehow kept them up. But they have lost two key players in Rafinha and Calvin Phillips over the summer. And it's down to two American players he knows very well, and Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams, to come in and fill those significant voids. Do you think they can do that? Because that's a tall order for those young American players. And it seems like Jesse Marsch needs to get off to a fast start to get these Leeds United fans believing that he is the right man long-term to stabilise them as a Premier League team.
Yeah, I don't think they need to replace what they did, with the new signings coming in and the stars leaving. I think it's going to be a much more kind of committee approach from Leeds this season, where you don't have a standout talent, the player that you can look at and say, this is clearly the best player in the squad. It's a big squad, by the way. It's way too big for how many games that Leeds are going to have this season without any European competition. Obviously, I think they're going to have to trim some down just a little bit. I like that they got their business done, at least their incoming business done early, and so they've had players in for the full preseason. I think Jesse Marsch is going to have had time to drill everything in. I think they'll be fine. I might even go so far as to say that I think we have them in the wrong tier for the preview section. I think they could be fairly comfortable it's too simple to say that it all hinges on Jesse Marsch and the way that the team buys into what he wants. But I really do think it's about that, because he has all the pieces that he needs that he could possibly want to play play his style of football.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a much more solid, sort of robust unit defensively. Rocker and Tyler Adams sitting there gives the likes of Aronson and others a lot more license to go forward. Patrick Bamford, for me, if he's fit the whole season, we know how good of a finisher he is. I think that's key to the way Leeds play. Everton, tough summer for Lampard, losing 4-0 to Minnesota United. They lost Richarlison. He's already talking about relegation. I mean, Nick, on Everton, are they going to be in a relegation scrap again? And Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil, I mean, two decent signings, but do they need more than that late in the window if they're going to stay away from the relegation?
Yes, 100%. Yes. Tough summer for Everton, also still having Frank Lampard there. Not going to lie to you. I don't have any faith that this guy can be someone who navigates a whole season and puts this team where it wants to be.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. And I think it's going to be tough for my hometown team, Southampton, as well. Awful finish to last season. Signed a lot of good players, but very young players. They've gone with a clear philosophy of going for players under the age of 21. And it's going to be tough to see if that gamble pays off for Ralph Hasenhüttl. One thing to look out for them, they're playing a 3-5-2 formation now, which maybe they aren't going to high press as much. Joe Aribo's their best signing of the summer by far, was a star at Glasgow Rangers. Looked really, really good. So I still worry for Southampton, though. Defensively, a bit all over the place. And I think the likes of themselves, Everton and Leeds, even though they think they should be higher up the table, I think they're going to get sucked into a relegation battle, and it's going to be tough. And Saints have a tough start to the campaign too.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern. And for even more content, head over to Peacock, where we've got live games, original series, and a dedicated round-the-clock Premier League channel featuring studio shows, classic matches, and much more.